Oh, it's good. Alyssa.
I got these hearing aids in a bit. I can hear everything now. Yes. Thanks very much. Welcome comments. Welcome everyone to Borough Bellefonte Council work session. No action is taken during the work session. So tonight the first item of discussion is Community Development Block Grant, CDBG discussion. I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Pabalka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Council. Just want to brief everybody, particularly new members of Council, on a project that's been a little while in the making, and then get some direction from you in terms of how you'd like to proceed. So what I'm specifically talking about is the borough's use of our community block grant funding. For those of you that are unfamiliar, CDBG funds are a federal program, federal entitlement for certain communities that qualify by virtue of the citizenry meeting a few different potential areas of qualification, including low to moderate income, in some cases a declaration of a disaster or trying to mitigate an emergency, and a few other qualifying statuses. But the borough has applied 3 years of CDBG funding, which in total equate to $284,208. This is fiscal years 2022 through 2024, toward a project to improve the Talleyrand Park Suspension Bridge. So I'm going to just review briefly with you this evening the design that was prepared by Barton and Lagutis, and then give you a kind of a current snapshot of where that project is and what some of the preliminary concerns are that were flagged by our design professional as well as our CDBG grant manager with CEDA-COG. So just to kind of talk a little bit about the preliminary scope, the genesis of this project came from a need to replace the bridge decking material. It was a timber deck, still is, and it's showing signs of degradation. It's not really a slip-resistant surface, so we identified a need to repair and replace that. And that is the kind of primary driver for this project. But because we are applying community development block grant funds towards that need, there was also a requirement that we met one of the qualifiers for that program's funding. And the way that we did that was by addressing the accessibility of the bridge structure itself. But I want to emphasize maybe right out of the gate that by virtue of ADA improvements to this suspension bridge, we would not be giving access that is not accessible to any other area of the park. Both sides of the bridge, the parkland on either side of the bridge, are currently ADA accessible, meaning that you can get there with a stable slip-resistant surface that is less than the grade restrictions that are required to be considered ADA compliant. It is, however, a longer, more circuitous route to get to the one end to the other side of the park if this bridge is not made ADA accessible. So, the deliverables for Barton and Lagutis were to develop the construction document package, develop the design and some alternatives for council to consider, and then administer that project from start to finish. To date, all that they've done is the design, which is essentially going to be encapsulated in this presentation, but there remains the total amount of the award was $62,000. We've expended about $19,800. So we've spent about a third of the funds that were earmarked for design and construction project management for Barton and Lagutis or BNL. So alternatives that are considered, option one, which is really the only option that we're still focusing on, was to make this bridge accessible through a switchback ramp system. I'll show you some renderings of that. As part of that alternative, there were several as part of that option, there were several bid alternatives that were evaluated that were essentially different kinds of deck material and whether you want to enhance that feature through ornamental railing or powder coating the steel framing to also weatherize it a little bit more. Two other options that were considered but summarily dismissed. Power lift access was essentially deemed to be non-congruent with the aesthetic of the park, and then the retaining wall or fill section of the ramp, so the earthen ramp, was dismissed early on because permitting would be too difficult in the vicinity of the creek. So the switchback ramp location, and there's a rendering in your packet, actually this whole presentation is in your packet, but you can kind of see the geometry and orientation of the ramp that's here in the three-dimensional orange print. So it's a relatively sizable thumbprint on the current green space there that's right off of the bridge surface and bridge stairs. This is an aerial image that kind of shows the same footprint. So you'll see this is the concrete sidewalk that provides access to the ramp. This is the bridge stair landing, stairs, and then the ramp orientation, the switchback that would come off of that would sort of follow this trajectory that I'm highlighting in my cool green laser pointer. Another 3D renderings, the switchback ramp location. So you really kind of start to get a sense of what the impact would be, and of course there will be a need to have that a similar ramp constructed on the other side of the bridge as well. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, that's correct. Good point. So this is the other side of the suspension bridge, so you can get a little sense of what a better sense of what the impact would be to install the ramp on both sides. Among the alternates that were considered, the steel versus aluminum framing versus the timber framing. That approximate cost you'll see in the bottom there, about $290,000. Just to give you some sense, I mentioned we have $284,208 appropriated in CDBG funding to go toward this project. When you deduct from that the $62,000 in design, engineering, and bid and construction management, we're left with $222,208 to apply towards construction. So this alternative is is more than what we have appropriated for construction costs for CDBG. And that is also want to emphasize that this is just for the ramps on either side of the bridge. Replacing the deck material itself is itemized later in the construction estimate. If we went with aluminum framing, we knock about $60,000 off of that price tag, so a little bit less expensive, but still beyond what we have appropriated in CDBG funds for construction dollars. Yes, sir.
That's just basic aluminum. Yeah, obviously powder coating and coloring is one way. I think some of that's spelled out in your. Okay. Yeah.
If we go timber framing and a timber ramp, of course that takes a significant bite into the construction costs. It's more expensive than the aluminum, about $5,000, but less than the $290 for the steel surface. So. Also, I think an advantage of this might be that it's currently an aluminum deck. It's kind of aligned with the current aesthetic of the suspension bridge, but still, again, more than what we have appropriated for construction dollars with CDBG funds. Barton looked at a couple of alternatives for the decking material itself. So this is if we were to go with a timber deck, that's the approximate cost for square footage, and that's itemized later on in the packet I'll touch on. If we go with the composite decking, significantly more expensive, but it does have the advantage of being ADA compliant. That non-skid surface is integrated right into the design. Basic versus ornamental, fairly self-explanatory. There's the basic and there's the ornamental. Higher cost for the ornamental, but may fit the aesthetic of the bridge better. And then this was Mr. Brackbill's question, if you wanted to paint coat for the steel framing. So there's an alternate that was identified there. I don't know if there's an alternate for painted aluminum.
Yeah, I believe you're right, David. I don't think there's an alternate on there for the aluminum to be powder coated.
Yeah, I don't see that in the estimate. So this is really the cost summary, probably the salient point of this presentation. If we wanted to go, well, first for the construction sidewalk, or the concrete sidewalk rather, the walking surface, the primary need for that bridge, if you replace it with a timber, and, kind of surfacing in kind, you're talking about approximately $30,000. If we were to go with a fiber, I even wrote this down, fiber reinforced polymer, you would be looking at a total cost of $78,000, so an additional $48,000 above the $30,000 timber structure. And then depending on which option you go with, it's anywhere from $230,000 to $290,000. And if you wanted to enhance the ramp with either decorative or functional features such as the FRP walking surface, you're talking about an additional cost beyond all that. So really this is what precipitated our work session here. Was we wanted to have a conversation with council about whether you want to continue to pursue this project using the CDBG funds that we have allocated, or whether, and in doing so, acknowledge that there may be a local commitment that's anywhere from $40,000 to, depending on what alternatives you select, could be over $100,000 of local match that we have to put up in addition to the CDBG appropriation. So there are other options. We had some, that's really all my presentation, so I'll just end it there. We had some conversations with our CEDACOG representative, Leslie Hosterman. CEDACOG manages the CDBG program for Bellefonte Borough. The alternatives that we could consider, of course, or we could, stop this project now. If we did, we would have to pay back $19,800 to CDBG to make them whole for the commitment that we've already expended for design services for this project. We're still left with the need to replace the deck material, so we'd have to find a way to do that, either local dollars or if we could find other grant funding that we'd want to pursue in order to make that project a reality. We might be able to do better with the pricing if we extricated it from CDBG, because we may not have the need to bid this and incur the costs of prevailing wage and other expenses that drive up the price of replacing that deck surface material. So it's possible that we could defray some of that, depending on whether you go timber or otherwise. That's $30,000 to $78,000 number by going on our own and using our own procurement. If we were to go that route, if council wanted to basically not pursue this project any further at the suspension bridge, we would still have the $284,208 in community development block grant funding that we could then apply toward another project. We learned today, for example, that we did not get the Commonwealth Financing Authority's Multimodal Transportation Fund grant for the ADA access to the Talleyrand train station. That's a project that we estimated, our architect estimated about $105,000, which had a 30%, we had appropriated a percentage of local match toward that project. We could fully fund that, about $105K, using CDBG dollars. We would have to still repay the $19,800, and we would have to go back to CDBG and have this new project kind of go through the review and approval process. But CEDACOG feels confident that we could do that for this project. We could find another project. The challenge in going that route, or we find another project entirely, is that we'd have to still qualify under one of the CDBG categories to apply those fundings. And Ms. Tosti-Vasey and I were just talking before the work session. We may be able to do that by qualifying the entirety of Bellefonte Borough through a disability qualifier that CDBG has. That would require a survey of residents to determine whether we would meet that threshold. Much like what used to be the case and is no longer the case, Bellefonte Borough as a whole used to qualify for CDBG funding for anywhere in the borough by virtue of low to moderate income status. More than 51% of our population qualified under their LMI designation, low to moderate income designation. That is no longer the case. Certainly a good thing that more of our residents aren't in that category. However, it does require that any place that we apply those funds qualifies either as LMI status or as disabled status. So all of that takes more legwork. If we were to say, you know, forego this project and reappropriate those funds toward a street paving or sidewalk project elsewhere in the borough, we would have to do some preliminary surveying to ensure that wherever that geographic area where we identified that project need would be serving a community that would qualify under those CDBG parameters. I believe that is all I wanted to touch on, and if there are any questions, really all I'm looking for from council tonight is whether you want us to keep moving towards this suspension bridge project or whether you want us to start looking at some alternatives, which we would of course still be presenting back to you all and to the public for your consideration and review. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So I didn't see this project as an agenda item on the regular meeting. Are you asking us just to consider it tonight and then vote next time on it, or what?
I don't really need a vote. I just want consensus. If you think that this is a project still worth pursuing, certainly it's up to council if you want to have formal action on it. I really just need you know, hey, you're going in this direction. We want you to keep going in that direction. Or now let's start looking at alternatives and come back with a more refined proposal for alternatives for you to consider. Sir.
So if we decide we want to keep doing this, well, let me put it another way. If we're not going to do this program, what becomes of the bridge? Would you want to cut it? You know, do we have to not let people along the bridge anymore?
Well, the bridge is still functional. We just have an issue with the decking material. I mean, and it's not getting any newer, so it's only going to continue to degrade. We would likely be looking at finding either other sources of funding just to replace the deck material itself, or we would be applying local funding through, you know, a source that we'd have to identify within our current budget. Mr. Eaton, yeah.
I got one more. So in that case, then I would rather see us try to go forward with this project.
The material that's on the deck of the material that's on the deck for the bridge that's next to the railroad bridge. What is that? The FRP?
Yes.
Fiberglass reinforced?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I didn't, I mean, that material has stood up well, has it not?
Yes, it has, and that's my concern. If you know, even if you go with this other, you know, if you decide to do this ramp and stuff, it's all projected with timber decking. The RFP is another $100,000 on top of that. So we essentially will have timber decking that we will have to maintain constantly. I mean, obviously it's pressure treated wood. We're going to have to deal with it constantly. You know, all that ramp's going to be pressure treated, the decking on it. The framing is going to be steel, but the decking is going to be timber.
Right. I mean, anything if we make the ramps and such.
Yeah,
anything.
if you're going to do it, I would think you'd want to make it FRP. That way we're not having to maintain it and deal with it. If you're going to go through with it, yeah, I would want to do it right,
Yeah, I mean, is there anybody out there doing like something that looks like the park benches? It looks like 2x4s, but it's actually a
the track
composite.
stuff, yeah, that you
Yeah.
put on decking. I'm not sure if they do for ADA commercial stuff. I'm sure somebody may make something that looks
Okay.
more like wood than that,
Okay.
those flat panels.
But not that's ADA compliant. that we
Correct,
could
that's
Put the public on.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I just have a question about, just to summarize, if we were to do the entire project with the ADA compliant material on the bridge, what would be an approximate total cost? And then where would we possibly get the additional funds?
Sure, so you would be into, of course, the 2,000 for the concrete sidewalk improvements, figure approximately 78,000 for the bridge decking surface itself, the FRP walking surface, and then depending on the alternative we pursued for the switchback ramps, you could be anywhere from, again, 235 to 290. If you wanted that same surface on the ramp and staircase, you would be into it an additional 100,000. Decorative railing, painted ramp surface, you're talking about 30 or 60,000 depending on one or both of those, or 30 to 90,000 if you go with both. So the sum of that minus the 222,000 that we have appropriated for construction would be what we would have to make up locally, either out of our general fund or capital funding or one of our other governmental funds, bulk water, just anywhere the council would find would be appropriate or would believe would be appropriate for the local dollars. We would also likely, hopefully be able to find some other grant funding that might be able to successfully offset some of that local match, but it's hard to say what programs might be available.
So another like 150,000 or 200,000?
I think that's a reasonable estimate. It should be, I should note that we still haven't gone out to bid on this. So these numbers are construction estimates. They could be low, they could be high, they could be right on. We really wouldn't know until we got bids back what exactly our commitment might look like. And we would be able to include as part of that bid package some of these alternates. And then it gives council the ability to say yes or no to any of those options when we know exactly what we have to commit. Yes, ma'am.
The walkway beside the train tracks, that is ADA accessible to that section of the park, is that correct?
I believe so. Matt, do you know that?
Yes, correct. When we
Okay.
did that bridge project in 2019, that was the premise behind it, giving ADA access from
Okay.
obviously the train station side, to the figure 8 side. But yes,
Right,
that-
so it does give ADA compliancy to access to the entire park, really?
Certainly.
Okay, so my thought is, if we already have that, maybe we don't spend this money on the bridge with the CDBG funds and do something else with those. And it sounds like to replace the treads on the suspension bridge would not, I don't recall if we saw a price on that or not, just to replace those.
I think he said about 40,000, is that, or
For
Just
the
for the replacement of
bridge
the
decking
decking.
Just to
material itself?
replace on the suspension
that
bridge.
we would have to come up with or find a funding source?
Right,
correct.
right. Matt, is the rest of that bridge stable and okay?
Yeah, the bridge is good. We get it inspected every year. The gentleman that designed it's a local guy. But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
the bridge itself is in good shape. We just rebuilt the steps on it currently about in 2019.
Okay.
But yeah, the decking really is, that's what the driving force behind all this was the decking. We
Okay.
thought it was an opportunity, but obviously there's some things to consider now.
Right, there seems to be a lot to consider with that, so maybe, I'm not sure what the answer is, but I'm not exactly in favor of doing all the ADA on that particular bridge, since we already do have access.
Yes, ma'am.
I respectfully disagree with Barb. When I look at accessibility for people with disabilities, I try to make it basically equitable so that, yes, right now they can go down the railroad bridge and around and take a very circuitous route to get back to the other side. It's sort of like like during the black individuals or people with that had to go around to the back of the building to get in. I believe that people should be able to have similar sorts of access to all parts of the park, which means that if we're going to do the bridge, we need to make that fully ADA accessible. The other thing, and it was something that Matt said, let me see if I can remember what that was. Long-term maintenance, we're talking about timber versus the FRP. Maintenance would have to be done every single year if we use the timber. In the long run, I think it would actually be less expensive if we were to do the FRP, because that, I think, if I recall from 2019, was it, and you might be able to say, it was like a 50-year, yeah, the expected lifetime of that is 50 years. The timber is going to have to be replaced on a regular basis. So I think in the long term, the FRP, although initially up front it's more expensive, in the long run, it's more cost effective.
Other comments from council? I agree with Barb on this one. It is accessible to the park for everyone. I think the money could be used somewhere else, and if we're looking at probably 150,000, I know that's a ballpark number in addition to what we're spending, and I would like to see our staff look at other options before we make a commitment to fund this project any further.
I guess what, I have some concerns. I've never seen an ADA compliant suspension bridge with a swinging deck, so I guess I have concerns about that. Yes, I'd want the FRP material. But I would suggest that if we decide to go forward with this, okay, we did the stream modeling about 6 years ago. So before we would go forward with this, I would want to see a storm event stream modeling to show what we would have build up around any of the piers of the accessible walkway. Because you might end up in a situation where the debris coming down the stream just wraps up around your piers and turns into a flood issue, you know, a disturbed flow pattern, because you're going to have multiple piers here holding up that deck. And so anything that gets trapped in there in a flood event, then that's going to be resistance, and you're going to have a load on it, and it's going to try to displace it, and the water's going to go around. So we would sort of have to model it for a flood event because it's in a floodplain. So I would say if you decide to go forward with it, you would want to do that modeling to see what happens in an event that we know is going to happen, what, about every
presentation? I do not. Slides for, okay. One moment, please. Sorry, let me see if I can call it up. It's the slide deck from, yeah. Just, give me a second here. Yeah, I'll log into my email. You can start if you wanted to, if you had anything you wanted to tee up. Just gonna have to, I'll just have to be in your way. Oh, look at that. Okay. Multi-factor. You're killing me. All right. Okay. I don't think so.
I didn't have any, no, sorry. I didn't have updated sketch plans, so I didn't include them in your packet. Yeah, you just have the, I'm sorry, you just have the sketch land development plan, but not the mock-ups, which I believe is what Mark is
And we're looking
wanting.
for the sketch land development plan.
Okay.
Be able to maybe re-forward it.
Yep.
That might be a good way to, I'll keep looking here, see if I have it. All I have are those renderings. Unless it's, study review, no.
Yep.
Could you forward it to me, Bob? Okay. Yeah. Nothing yet.
Did you search by my name? Possibly.
Yeah, I did. Oh, there you go. All right. Okay. There we go. Plug this back in. And if you want that green button there is a laser pointer. Oh, you're way ahead of me.
I'm good. Thanks. Apologize for the delay. Mark Seville from HRG Engineering, here to present the sketch plan on behalf of the Mountain Indian Medical Center. We had come for you before with the subdivision plan where we were consolidating parcels of ground, which we picked up a piece of ground from the adjacent former armory piece to give us enough space to be able to build, actually, excuse me, a new 40,000 square foot medical office building that's going to house a walk-in express care clinic, an imaging clinic, and it's also going to be relocating the current primary care clinic and lab and the pediatric care clinic and center for child advocacy center from the current Bellefonte locations into this consolidated medical office building in order for us to better serve the Bellefonte community. We're looking forward to bringing more of these services back into Bellefonte at this location over here. The site itself is going to be a 40,000 square foot, 2-story medical office building. We're relocating the driveway to make it more purposeful for the arrival and access and drop-off location to it. We're providing the parking per the current zoning ordinance requirements associated with the site based on the parking counts for it, and trying to manage a circulation pattern around it for emergency vehicle access and accessibility to different elements for the project. We have a lot of the back of house for loading and access and transformers and all that on the back side of the building away from facing from the street. We will be adding in privacy fencing along the boundaries of the property so that we're going to be limiting the visibility of the back side of the building from the neighborhood to the north. From that side of it, we're providing some connectivity to the existing building, former Weiss building is currently occupied by Mountain Indian Health. We're also going to be closing this existing driveway entrance that goes into that parking lot on that side of it. And we're here presenting the sketch plan just to get some feedback from council on anything, because we're looking to be making a land development plan formal submission for formal review and comment coming up here in a month or so.
So is that, Randy Brackville, if where the driveway is, so that's an in and out type of situation?
Yes, it's full access driveway.
Okay.
This is where the signal is going to be for Airport Road intersection from the elementary school project.
But that falls away from your building.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Where the lights are, doesn't matter because they're down the street too far to help you guys out. Cars getting in and out.
No, it's going to create some gaps associated with the movement of the vehicles coming in for the full access portion of it. We're going through the process right now of the traffic impact analysis with PennDOT and with the borough's consultant to make sure that we meet all of that minimum requirement. The signal itself is not going to be coordinated to give us any signalized access for our entrance of the driveway.
I can't tell, I'm Joanne Tosti-Vasey. I can't tell from this sketch, are you actually going to be demolishing part of the current building where you have the current area?
No, that building is going to stay intact. It houses administrative services facilities inside of it. It doesn't have really a public side of it for access. It's all staff that currently occupy that building. There's a portion in the middle that's unoccupied, and then there's the bank on the end of it.
So, in other words, this sketch is actually developing a whole new piece, and it's not going to affect the current administrative offices.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
You have one access on the lower right here. Is that also going to be then to what we call the old Y store where you have administrative offices? Does everyone go in and out there, or are you going to keep the other?
The other two accesses will remain into that existing parking lot.
Okay.
For Weiss, we're just removing Overall, we're removing one driveway access point and relocating. There's an existing driveway there now that used to go to the old armory site.
Yes.
We're pushing that one over to the right a little bit further for a better sight distance, but also it's important for the operational elements of access to the building so that it's obvious to people who are arriving where the entrance to the building is and it doesn't become a confusing traffic pattern.
Great, thank you.
Claudia Wilson, the screening in the back of the building for the neighborhood.
Yep.
Is it just going to be fencing, or is there going to be any kind of
It's going to be solid fencing,
just solid fencing? How high?
6 foot high.
Okay, and all of your mechanical stuff for the building is in the back, right?
There's transformers that are visible in the back of the building and an emergency generator.
Okay.
In the back of the building, the rest of the mechanicals will not be visible are not located at the back of the building. This is just the typical transformer and other elements you have for your building.
So a concern that I would have, or just a thought, is the noise volume for those apartments are right, right at the back there. So whether there was anything to ameliorate the noise factor, just a thought.
Yeah, at this point, we're not anticipating a significant amount of noise factor associated with them. Transformers don't give Bishop Street to the entrance to the site. Our current site plan had the sidewalk coming to the entrance driveway and coming up into the site, and they asked us about extending it to the edge of the property. We're working through that right now. There's that existing PennDOT Jersey barrier retaining wall at that location, and we want to make sure we have good site visibility associated with it. So we're working through those details to see what makes the most sense for that part.
Great. And the Burger King parking lot, there's an access. Is that remaining?
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions from council? Thanks very much, unless you have
Thank you.
other
We're looking
comments.
forward for Mount Nittany coming back to Bellefonte.
And we are as well.
We are.
Thank you very much. Unless there's further business that, or comments, it's 7:25 or close to it, I'll adjourn this work session. Could I have a roll call, please, for attendance?
Mr. Brackbill?
Here?
Ms. Cleaton? Here. Ms. Dan?
Here.
Mr. Eaton? Mr. Johnson?
Present?
Ms. McKean is excused. Mr. Kelly? Here. Ms. Tosti-Vasey?
Here.
Ms. Wilson?
Present.
Ms. Meckley and Mayor Johnson are excused. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Additions to the council meeting agenda under Act 65. If a matter is not on the agenda, council may take official action on it with the following exceptions. Council can act on matters relating to potential or real emergencies. Council may add a matter of agency business to its agenda through a majority vote. The council must state why the action item is being added to the agenda. Council may vote to add an action item. Is there any council member who wishes to add an action item to the agenda for tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on. Public comment. Borough Council intends to take public comments related to motions, the motion that is on the floor after it has been duly made and seconded. The order of comments will be public comment and then council comment, including proposed amendments by council members. If amendments are proposed to the original motion, the public will then comment on the amendments before the final vote's taken. You must be a Bellefonte resident, a nonprofit representative, a business owner, or any official representative of another government agency. Speakers shall identify themselves by name and street, municipality if outside of the Bellefonte Borough, and our comments are limited to 3 minutes. So, communications written. David, you want to take a couple of those for me, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. The Center County Kickoff America 250 celebration invitation is in your packet. It's going to be held at 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday, January 28th at the Center County Courthouse, 102 South Allegheny Street in Bellefonte. To RSVP, there's a link that's included in the agenda. This is informational only and no action is requested. Also, for your reference in your packet is a article that was recently published by the Center County Gazette acknowledging the fine police officers, the women police officers that are leading Bellefonte Borough Police Department. So there's some good publicity and well-deserved acknowledgments for those women. And next is a update presentation from Deb Berger on the 2026 Hometown Hero Banner Program.
Welcome, Deb.
Good evening. I am Deborah Berger. I live at 657 Humes Road right here in Bellefonte Borough, and I am so happy to announce that I am here under Historic Bellefonte Incorporated and for the Hometown Hero banners. We are going to have our 6th round of opportunity to dedicate and honor your hero by hanging a banner in our town. And this year, because of the 250, which they just talked about, the kickoff, we're so excited to announce that there are some changes to it. In the past, we've always dedicated them on Veterans Day. This year, we are going to dedicate them on Friday night, July 3rd, after a celebration of America's 250 parade. We have not had a parade over the 4th of July in Bellefonte in quite a few years, so we are going to bring that back, and it is all coming together so nicely. We now have, after the parade, we will dedicate the banners at Talleyrand Park, which is where the parade will end. We have a 75-minute patriotic concert, and it is going to be a combined band of the Bellefonte Community Band and the State College Community Band. So we're so excited to have all of that happening. Now, there are some changes with the application process with our Hometown Hero banners. We can no longer have them dropped off at the train station. So when they access, and I will give a minute where you can get the applications for the public to know, the applications can be dropped off here at the Borough Building, up in the office, or they can be dropped off at Carrie Benninghoff's office on High Street. So you would have two opportunities. You can pick up the applications at the train station, you just cannot drop them off and drop your money off there. The applications will also be available on HBI website, our Hometown Hero website, on our Facebook page, and the borough in the past has put a link to the applications on your webpage, so I'm hoping that you will be able to do that again for us, that people can download and then fill out the applications from there. As far as the registration for the parade, that also, if you want to participate, have a group, a scout troop, a church group, a band, you just want to be in the parade. There will be a registration form on all the places that I just listed that you can download, and then the information where you have to return those to will be on that registration. So I am asking, Buddy isn't here tonight, but I am asking that the mayor would give us a proclamation making Friday, July 3rd, Bellefonte's Day to celebrate America's 250th birthday. So I will get with Buddy later to see that that can be arranged. Are there any questions on any of it? Yeah, Barb. The number of people that have heard about this through the grapevine, and the excitement is really starting to swell. Everybody is really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Thank you, Deb. Sounds like something the Borough Council should be interested in putting a
Hey,
float
put a
in.
float in. You guys can all ride on a float.
We can all participate. Thanks. Sounds like a great plan.
Okay.
Look forward to it.
Great.
Can we go back to the previous item for
Yes,
just a
ma'am.
second? I wanted to give a shout out to both Chief Whitmer and to the Civil Services Commission. This is excellent news. It mentions both, this article mentions both Sergeant Stacy Neidig and Detective Lisa Larkin. We also have one additional female officer, Amanda Barn, who was recently sworn into duty. I talked to Chief Whitmer just before this meeting started. With the three of them, and a police force of 11, we are now at 20% of our police force. There's an organization called the 30 by 30 Initiative. It is a coalition of police leaders, researchers, and professional organizations committed to advancing the representation, experiences, and well-being of women in policing agencies across the U.S. This 30 by 30 is setting a goal that all police forces in the country reach 30% female officers by 2030. We're almost there, and I would like to give a great thank you to our Civil Service Commission for working on this, and for Chief Whitmer following through. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joanne. Okay, moving on. So we're at the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be acted upon by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless members of the council request specific items to be removed for separate action. Are there any items that council wishes to remove from the consent agenda? Yes, Randy?
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll second that,
Thank you.
Tosti based.
Thank you. Any, okay. I was going to try to just a voice vote for some of these routine items, and then, of course, if anybody would like to call for a roll call vote, we can do that. So I'm going, after the motion and a second. If there's no objection by the majority of council, I'd just like to do a yay or nay vote, a voice vote on most of these items. No objections? All those in favor of the motion and second to approve the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We're now to reports, elected officials and staff reports. The mayor is absent tonight, so there's no report. Chief Whitmer, do you have a report tonight that anybody would like to comment on, or Chief, questions for the chief, or do you have some comments, Chief?
Hopefully everyone had a chance to review it. As you can see, we did a lot of training in the month of December. I also completed our officer evaluation, so we're just cleaning things up and getting ready for the new year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The parking is submitted. Okay, Office of Community.
question
Yes?
on the parking.
Yes, ma'am.
There appears to be a new parking designation in this port that I haven't seen before. In the pie chart, there's a designation for temporary residential parking. Where is this? Why was it added? How is it different from the one-day parking permit, and what is the cost of this permit? This fee, as far as I recall, is not on our fee schedule, so could that be checked?
Sure. Chief, you have any comments on that one? I don't want to put you on the spot. Gina, Alyssa, any comments?
I don't have a comment on that. I'd have to look into that and get back
Sure.
to you.
We'll get you an answer, Joanne. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, Office of Community Affairs. I'm looking for a motion to, number one, we're going to pull the preliminary final land development of Cedar Cliff Properties LLC at 821 East Bishop Street. David, do you have any comments on that?
Yes, sir. Just the conditions that remain, well, the Planning Commission did have an opportunity to review this and recommended conditional approval. The conditions that remain are substantive enough that we don't feel that this is ready for council action. So one of the conditions, for example, that's not listed in that item, in those items on your agenda, is the verification that they submitted and received approval for their Component 1 sewage facilities planning module, which has to go to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Once we've allowed the conditions of this plan to advance a little bit to the point where we feel comfortable in recommending this for conditional approval, you'll see it again on a council agenda, hopefully in pretty short order here.
Great, thanks, David.
Yes, sir.
So I'm, let's see, subdivision. The other two items, the next Planning Commission meeting is Monday, February 9th. Next HARB, these are just announcements. The next HARB meeting is Tuesday, January 27th at 8:30 a.m. This meeting will be canceled if no applications are received by Monday, January 19th. That's over.
Point of
Do we need to
information?
approve?
The first one.
The first one?
Yeah.
Yes. So, do I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Clayton.
Second, Dan?
Thank you. Thanks, Deb. Thanks, Barb. Discussion on the preliminary final subdivision. Subdivision and land development plans as recommended by the Planning Commission. Any comments? None? Those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on now. Interim borough manager submitted. Committee reports. Environmental and Parks. Joanne, no report?
On the Environmental and Parks Committee, there isn't a report because
That's
the
okay.
meeting it was supposed to be before this meeting. We didn't have the committees yet. But I would like to ask Shauna and Barb to meet with me for a couple minutes after this meeting so we can schedule this committee meeting for the year.
Okay.
Finance and Administration. Well, Ms. Clayton is listed, but I think Mr. Eaton is now chair of that committee.
Yeah, we'll have to have a coordinating meeting to get kicked off, but Deb, if you have comments,
I just wanted to comment briefly that the previous Finance and Admin Committee met on December 16th to discuss personnel matters, and I'm looking forward to working with you and Claudia on the on the Finance Committee. So.
looking forward to working with you too, Deb and Claudia.
Streets infrastructure, I think I was chair, but that is now Mr. Brackbill. So, no, we used to meet on the second Tuesday, I think at 4 p.m. Well, for streets we met on, but now that we've combined, so you need to just contact Zach and Barbara. Okay, super. Great. Great. Thanks. Let's see. The rest of the committee reports are submitted. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Randy.
Rules and regulations, that was done and submitted on 120. Spring Creek Watershed Commission, tomorrow night. Time, for some reason, we got mixed up, 6 to 8 o'clock instead of 6:30 to 8. So we fixed that. And the other part of that is Bart is going to be my alternate.
Great. Fire department,
That's a little Thursday night.
public transportation, right?
The report is in your packet. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
Fair enough. Nittany Valley Planning, you want to comment on that, Gina or Joanne?
I included a little blurb about the Nittany Valley Planning Commission meeting that we had last Thursday in my Office of Community Affairs report. So just that was included. If there are any questions.
It was rather comprehensive. I don't think there needs much more to be said to that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Regarding the CCMPO, the appointment will be done at the February 24th meeting. So right now there is no representative because Doug had both that position and the Nittany Valley Joint Planning Commission appointments. They said at the meeting last week that they would be making that appointment, and it's basically going to be whoever volunteers for it. And I'm willing to volunteer, I just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that decision will be made by Nittany Valley
Right.
Joint Planning Commission for the coordinating position with the MPO.
And Gina is on the technical committee.
That is correct. Yep.
I have a question for Deb. You have your name in here, but are you still with that, or is that somebody else now?
No, I'm still on the library board. The meetings are once a month, but the minutes are typically a month behind.
Okay. I was confused with that.
We're meeting Thursday. I'll send you a copy.
So just so the public knows, I'll go through the committee assignments. Environmental and Parks, it's Joanne Tostavasi as chair, Shauna McKean and Barbara Dan. Finance and Personnel will be John Eaton as chair, Claudia Wilson and Deb Cleaton. Facilities and Streets, Randy Brackbill as chair, Zach Kelly and Barb Dan. We did combine a couple committees to condense them, and we'll see how this works out. Along with that, I've appointed an ad hoc committee, and this committee will be taking on what I think is the highest priority of this council at this moment, and that is to secure a permanent borough manager. And that search committee will consist of John Eaton, chair, Barbara Dan, Deb Cleaton, and Claudia Wilson. And I think Mr. Eaton will probably get together with those folks or contact the folks, and along with that, Mr. Perbalco will be included in that process. So I look at that as one of the council's most important and top priorities at this time. So, John, I hope you and Barb, Claudia, and Deb can make that a high priority issue for us. Thanks.
What about the ordinance committee?
The ordinance committee, Joanne was chair of that and still will be, and we're looking for volunteers to take part in that committee. So if there's a council member that would like to be on that ordinance committee with Joanne, and that is a committee that takes a look at different ordinances, and we haven't looked at that in a long time, and makes modifications or recommendations for that. So if there's somebody who would volunteer to be on that committee, you can either get in touch with me or directly with Joanne. Anything else, Joanne, to add to that?
No. Just to let you know, Gina participates in it because a lot of these ordinances are related to zoning. And so whoever volunteers, it would be better for Gina if we were able to have the meetings during the daytime, just FYI.
All right, we'll move on to...
Doug,
yes.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I do have a question on the reports. I did not see either one from the Borough Authority or the Airport Authority.
Well, I thought it was submitted. Well, the airport meets tomorrow or Thursday night, so...
But this would have been for last month's,
Yeah.
right?
Well, then I'll have to make sure we
Yeah,
get
and
it. It
the
says
Borough
Borough Authority submitted and Airport Authority submitted.
Yeah, I did not see them.
I didn't.
Do you have them since they're yours? I mean, can you report on either one of those for us, please?
Not from memory, I can't.
The Borough Authority? That was, we had I was there. We had the presentation
remind me.
about the cover of the spring, if you want to elaborate on. I thought it was very interesting, and I think it's something that council should know and is interested in.
Yes, we've found a vendor who we think will work for a cover for the big spring. So we're going to write some specifications for that cover and have it bid. We're looking at some landscaping around the spring. What am I missing from that?
Valentine Hill.
Yeah, you want to comment on that one?
Yes, and the authority also awarded the project for the Valentine Hill Water Main Replacement Project. It's approximately 1 mile of pressurized water main that will be replaced along Valentine Hill. That was awarded to Keystone Water Resources Group for an amount that I don't exactly know, but off the top of my head, but it's around 550,000, somewhere in that vicinity. The authority has also asked for staff to explore some options for financing that project, as well as some other capital needs that are on the horizon for the water system.
John, do you remember anything else that I'm missing?
No, I think that covers the high points, and we're just the Valentine Hill work is notable because that is the supply line that goes all the way to the old Corning plant, and so it's not a trivial matter. It's pumping water up 600 feet, which is pressurized to nearly 250 PSI. So it is a very high pressure piece of pipe. So it's not a trivial bit of civil work that we'll be doing. So it doesn't sound like a long distance of pipe, but it's a pretty special piece of pipe. So it'll be a notable piece of work for us to do this year.
Any other questions? on that?
No, I just thought it was really interesting, the meeting, and I appreciated
Yeah.
being there. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're moving on to, let's see, elected official committees. We got that. That. Current and old business. Nothing there, new business. You want to read through these?
Sure. First item, and there's a memorandum regarding community yard sale, riffraff, Halloween, trick or treat, and holiday parking in the borough. There are proposed dates. They're as follows. Yard sale dates would be Friday and Saturday, May 15th and May 16th. Bulk waste riffraff pickup is proposed to be scheduled for Monday to Friday. That's May 18th to May 22nd. Halloween trick-or-treating hours proposed to be 6 to 8 p.m. on Saturday, October 31st. And the 2-hour courtesy parking program that's done seasonally by the borough is proposed to be November 26th, that's Thursday, to Friday, January 1st of next year.
So I'm looking for a motion to approve the dates provided for the community yard sale, riffraff, Halloween, and holiday parking in Bellefonte Borough.
I'll make that motion, Dan.
Barb?
I'll second it, Clayton.
Thanks, Deb. Discussion?
Just think we need to check the date. If I'm correct, the date for Halloween, I think Saturday is the 30th. And October 31st is Sunday. Just check it.
Sure.
Right?
It, 31st is a Saturday.
It is Saturday? Okay.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am.
All right, sorry.
Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Do you want to read the next one?
Sure. The next item is an amendment to civil service rules and regulations. This is to modify our current regulations that require candidates for consideration for appointment to the Bellefonte Borough Police Department to be Act 120 certified, meaning they would have already gone through the police academy. Because of a recent memorandum of understanding the council approved, we're now enabling candidates to be sent to the police academy, and so a civil service rules and regulation amendment is needed in order to effectuate that change.
So
I'll
I'm
make that
looking,
motion,
I'm
Brad.
looking, Randy, you made a motion? Is there a second to that
I'll
motion?
second that, Dan.
Thank you, Barb. Discussion?
So this is, we would be hiring someone conditionally, they would then take the training, and upon successful completion?
Correct. They'll go through the steps of civil service, and if they're selected and they don't have the Act 120 Police Academy training, we send them. Correct.
Okay, but, and they have to pass satisfactorily?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Other questions? Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed to the motion, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next one, please, Mr. Habalka.
Next item is the appointment of Franzen Engineering and Surveying to act as the civil engineer of record for the borough because of the flurry of land development planning activity that we've seen in recent months. We thought it would be appropriate for us to engage Mr. Franzen on retainer. Of course, his fees for service, which are itemized in the attachment to the agenda, would be paid for by applicants for development. They would submit to the borough an amount of money to be held in escrow. As those fees and costs are incurred, we would pay for those services out of the escrow account. If it were depleted, we would then expect the applicant to replenish it. At the end of the day or at the end of the project, when all the bills are settled, we would then return those escrow funds to the applicant. So we are recommending approval of that engagement this evening.
Looking for a motion to approve.
I'll motion. Wilson?
Thank you.
I'll second, Dan.
Thank you, Barbara. Discussion?
This is Don Franson?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Don would be doing all of our, he'd be doing our surveying, but then don't we also, do we still use Don's company for like any stormwater issues and such?
Yes, sir. He would be our engineer of record for both civil reviews as well as stormwater engineering reviews.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Next item for your consideration is the proposed 2026 street paving list. That is also included in your agenda as an attachment. There are 8 candidate projects, 3 of which are carryovers, excuse me, 4 of which were unable to be completed in 2025. There are also is a segment of East Lynn Street between Allegheny and Armour Street that will be paved partially by Columbia Gas for a utility upgrade project. And then Valentine Hill is also referenced because that will need to be repaved after the water line is replaced by the Bellefonte Borough Authority. We can answer any questions you may have on those candidate projects. This evening, if you are comfortable with approving those, you may take action. You can refer it to the Streets Committee if you'd like further review, or approve it conditionally on that review, and that's council's prerogative. Thank you.
So I'm, for discussion, I'm looking for a, okay, second.
I'll second, Dan.
Thank you, Barbara. A real quick comment. I would like to, I don't know if it's an amendment to it, but amend this with the amendment that the Streets Committee take a look at this. We can approve it conditionally after the Streets Committee takes a look at it and then makes their recommendations to council. So that would be my amendment.
It would be a substitute amendment, send it to the committee and then bring it back.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'll make that motion.
Okay. Claudia?
So I just had a question. Several of these are right around my house, about the East Lamb, the one section there, so it goes almost to the top of the hill, then they're not going to pave a section, and then they're going to pave a section that's just right at Lamb and Wilson. Just wondering why, or if they could not just continue to pave the rest of that one, that one part of that block.
That would be a question for Matt Almond, but I'll also defer that to the Streets Committee and get the answer for you before we make a final
We
decision.
need a second to my substitute motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Joanne, I'll
Thank you,
second
Bob.
that.
Any other questions? We're going to vote on the amended.
Yes, in addition
yes,
to
go
what Claudia just mentioned, when the Streets Committee looks at this, they should also look at North Spring Street between West Lynn and West Curtin, and West Lynn between Allegheny and Spring, because both of these streets were messed up when the gas company replaced the gas lines last year,
Yeah,
and they're not
that-
on that list.
Good, that's what we are tasking them to do. They're going to take a look at the list
So
and make recommendations
yeah.
based on their observation to council. Okay?
Well, I've had lots of complaints about the North Spring Street
I think
issue.
they've heard you, I think.
Sure.
So, looking for, those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. Okay.
Next and last item is a proposed amendment to the Bellefonte Borough Code of Ordinances, Chapter 530, Vehicles and Traffic. There is a redlined amendment or amended ordinance draft that's included with your agenda. There are 2 streets that are currently on our parking prohibition year-round. Well, I should say 1 street, 2 segments that staff is proposing be removed to essentially enable parking on, in this case, Logan Street, both sides from Spring Street to Allegheny, and the south side from Allegheny to Penn Street. There is currently parking on those segments but the ordinance prohibits that. There's also striped parking stalls that exist in some of those prohibited areas. So, you know, it would be in the council's discretion to determine whether you want to enforce those prohibitions, or staff's recommendation would be to lift those. There is also a segment of Hughes Street between John Miller Lane and Logan Street. It's kind of an S-curve that we have heard concerns from the Bellefonte Area School District about their ability for those school buses to negotiate that turn when there's parking on street. We've also had similar challenges with refuse trucks in that segment as well. We're proposing to add that to the prohibition, the parking prohibition list. And then Pine Street, which is kind of right in the vicinity of Stony Batter there, there is currently a signage that prohibits parking from the Spring Street intersection approximately 125 feet south. That needs to be codified in order to be enforceable, but there is already signage out there prohibiting parking there. There's a proposed addition to the Spring Street seasonal, parking prohibition list, which would be Spring Street from Manchester Lane to Crawford. That would be in effect from November 15th to April 15th of each year to enable winter operations in that area. And then a new section of ordinance which relates to the declaration of snow and ice emergencies, which would be a function of the mayor's office in consultation with the chief of police. This would be to impose additional parking prohibitions and alternative parking prohibitions during periods of snow and ice emergencies to, again, enable first responders to access some of the areas of the borough, as well as to support winter operations in those vicinities, in those areas. So this item can either be authorized for public hearing or referred to the Streets Committee for their review and consideration and brought back to authorize for public hearing, or as with the last item, perhaps conditionally authorized, subject to review from the Streets Committee.
So on the sheet that we have, the Logan Street between Spring and Allegheny and Penn is going to be lifted with this?
That's correct. So it would
so that then there would be
permissive
parking
to park on street in those areas.
And right now, it's not legal, but people do it anyway? Is that what the situation?
Correct. It's on our list of prohibited parking. But, well, I should say Logan Street South, there's no parking. I don't know. I'm sure some people do, but I think that's an area that Logan Street between Allegheny and Penn on the south side. Since there's also a prohibition on that north side, we want to be more aggressive in enforcement of that prohibition, but enable parking on the south side because there's really no alternatives for residents that live along Logan Street in that vicinity to park elsewhere. But the other street, I would say, yes, people do park on street there between Spring and Allegheny. And we even have striped parking, I believe, on that segment right now. So we kind of allow for it, but we would want to remove it so that we're not expected to enforce it.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to see this passed on to the Streets Committee for review.
I agree, Doug. I would like to see some pictures of the streets so we're all sure what we are talking about, what we're getting rid of, and what we're doing. I would feel uncomfortable doing anything with this at this point.
Yeah, I agree, Barb. If Streets takes this over at the next council meeting, it would be nice to have something projected on the wall that we could take them individually. So that
I would do better, or maybe somebody else would, too.
Well, I'm sure we can figure it out somehow.
Yeah, we will.
Yes, Joanne?
So, point of information, and then I have an additional comment. Are you just administrating and sending this to the Streets Committee, or you want to have a motion?
I have a tendency to lean towards just passing this to the Streets Committee at this
Okay,
time.
that's fine. My comment is on section 530.42, paragraph B, which is the notification, the new notification section. When you look at it, could you consider adding the reverse 911 call list? Because I think that will get out to more people than any of these things that are currently listed here. Because this is an emergency sort of thing, and that
Sure.
would tell them that,
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, yeah.
thank you.
So we're not going to vote on this item. I'm just going to refer to the Streets Committee and have them take a look at this list and then report back to council.
Yes.
Thanks very much. Okay, that moves us to public comment regarding issues not on the agenda. Public comment period is for oral comments regarding items not listed on the meeting agenda. Speakers shall identify themselves by name and street and municipality. If outside of the Borough of Bellefonte, comments are limited to 3 minutes maximum. Is there people from the yes, sir.
For those of you that don't know me, my name's Patrick McCool. I'm the president of Historic Bellefonte Incorporated. Live at 29 Bletz Road, Lamar, PA. My reason for speaking, I had inadvertently didn't attend the last council meeting where a request for first responders is what I had submitted, but apparently there was a bit of a mix-up, and it appeared that it was, you all had thought that it was the cruise. We are planning a new event this year, which is called First Responders Weekend, where first responders will be invited in to compete in teams of 4 for up to $14,000 for their department. That's what First Responders is all about, and that is where we had requested the possibility of having the open container lifted within just that area. It has been done in other communities, such as Lock Haven, Williamsport, and Tyrone. I've actually attended events there, spoke with some of the people in reference to that. The reason why I'd like to speak tonight, even if we don't address the open container thing, I at least need to get, as soon as possible, an approval on the street closures to have the event. We are quite well on our way. We have collected up enough money already from sponsors to pay that money out. But there's a lot of preparation that needs to be done, and time is of the essence for us. Because if I am not able to do it in Bellefonte, I'm not saying that I wouldn't. I am a strong believer in whatever I do has to happen here in town. But if we're not going to approve, at least for us to have the event, I need to make alternative plans. And if anybody has any questions, I assume you all are aware of the mix-up on the request from the last meeting?
I am not. So
I was actually sending the first request for First Responders Weekend. I watched it on the CNET, and obviously it was thought that it was the cruise's request. It wasn't. It was for this First Responders Weekend, which would be held May 15 and 16, taking the same footprint as the cruise, basically, within the town.
did you fill out the request for closures of streets with the borough?
Everything.
Did we get that, Alyssa?
We got a,
We do have the application. It is being reviewed by the police department and by Public Works.
So I'm just speaking from a council position. We have not seen that application yet as a council. Does council, does any other council members remember seeing that application? So we can't approve it if we haven't seen it yet.
All right, well, I understand that, and I'm not trying to put any pressure on anybody, but I just assumed, I've been doing a cruise the last 17 years, that it would have, and I would have been here at the meeting had I known what night it was going to be read, but I didn't, and I apologize for that on my part. In the future, I will make sure that I'm aware when things are going to be coming to council.
No worries. So we'll get with staff, borough staff, and find the application and proceed with getting that application for council, and most likely have it on the agenda for the first Monday in February. As council.
Okay.
Does council even have to approve the application?
No, it was actually sent to be handled administratively now for special events. The open container portion would have to be approved by council.
Thank you. Okay. So that would be very simple to have one discussion and approve that, but you have all the application and all that, so we could look at that, but we don't approve that.
Correct.
Okay,
Right
thank
now,
you.
we're just having staff look at
Yes,
everything
I
before
think that's
bringing it to
great.
council.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes?
So at the last meeting, we tabled the open container issue until you could come here to council and give us detailed plans on what you're thinking of. And that could be done at the February meeting, once we know that the other part has already been approved.
Right.
But I would not want to go ahead and approve the open container if we don't have the baseline thing done first.
Well, yeah, or we can
I agree.
approve it as soon as the rest of it was done, too. I don't want to see this get held up for you.
Excellent. That's, yeah. I'll make plans to try to be here at the next meeting, and hopefully we can get everything resolved to eliminate anybody's questions. We do have many things put in place to make sure it's safe and properly done. Yes.
I'm just curious, what kind of competitions are you having?
Well, that was a
If
tough
I-
one
if
because
I can ask.
it's for first responders.
Okay.
And of course, you could do firemen's games, you could do policemen's type games or whatever. No, they're going to be people games. One of the biggest problems with a major event is the cost of entertainment. Guess who our entertainment is?
And that's excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I don't think so. Thanks very much. So with the open container part, though, shouldn't parks or somebody, is that going to be looked at by the police department and a parks committee or the streets committee? How's that going to be coordinated if we're going to speed this process along and we know the application is coming with open container possibilities? Should that be assigned to a committee at this moment?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we would need to get some additional detail and information, just to, you know, clarify what council was provided with at the last meeting was a letter of support from the Jams Festival of Lock Haven. It wasn't specifically requesting open container allowance for any event or, you know, the only mention of the Bellefonte cruise was in that letter of support. So at the time, staff had suggested that we need to reach out to Mr. McCool and see exactly what's being requested. Now that we've got a little clarity on that, I think we can, you know, working with the chief and Mr. McCool, we can maybe refine that request a bit and have some recommendations for you as soon as we can. I don't know that a committee, unless you wanted to refer it to one, we would have anything yet to act on.
I think the critical feedback would come from Chief Whitmer, because one of the questions that I had last time, and the Parks Committee could not answer these, is what does the state law say about open containers? What does our ordinance do we have, if any? And to look at what the basic line is so that we know what we're talking about. And that we didn't have the last time.
Right. I think this should be a council discussion instead of going to committee and then coming back to council.
I agree.
Okay, I just wanted to get it out there. If we're trying to speed this process up, I wanted to be proactive. So that's fine with me. Is there other comments, public comments tonight? I see none. So we'll go council member comments for the good of the order. Zach, we'll start with you. Do you have anything you'd like to offer?
No, I'm just making a little for communication basis, so navigate the learning.
Joanne?
Nothing.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Nothing.
Deborah?
Nothing this evening.
I have nothing. David?
No, sir.
Barbara?
Well, I do. Zach, first of all, it's always a learning curve, so you're not alone with that. Another reminder, it is very cold out there, so make sure that you bring your pets in, and please do not leave them out in the cold, or your small children.
I just want to remind people that we had a holiday yesterday, Martin Luther King Day, and that there are still events happening throughout the week. There's a poetry and prose on Wednesday, a musical tribute to Martin Luther King with 3 choirs on Friday at the Hub on campus, and a movie screening, King in the Wilderness, on Saturday, the 31st at the Hub. So still time to acknowledge that person.
Thank you, Claudia. John?
Nothing this week. It is cold out there, so hope the truck starts.
Thank you. Looking for a motion to adjourn? Thank you. We're adjourned.